Hey, all right, everybody. Welcome in, and thanks for tuning in and listening to the to your notes here. I know it's something that's a little bit different, something that you haven't done before, but I think it could be a nice way to do something a little different in class. We're going to start off a little slow. Won't give you too much to do, and we'll kind of build up a little bit. But just follow along. It's just like in class, except you're doing it at home. So listen up here a second. Um, we talked yesterday, or we talked earlier about policy making, the purpose of it, what they do, and policy making is just the government doing stuff. We also talked about how they get the different policy ideas through their political agenda. Well, who makes these ideas? Who makes these things? There are definitely some policy making players involved with this stuff. A lot of the times it's your political elites and your bureaucrats, which we talked about the other day. Your people, your Barack Obama, your people in the Senate and the House of Representatives. Um, Sometimes these policy making players are constituents, but not regular constituents like you and me. Um, they are the people that are more influential, who donate lots of money to the political elites. There's also special interest groups are big into policy making. They help shape policy, and a lot of those policies are shaped by the amount of money that they donate. Sometimes institutions, especially the courts, uh, influence the policy of our government. For example, if they would say something's illegal, can't really be a policy of our country. Uh, and courts, like we said here, courts have forced other institutions into action. Courts have forced other people in our country to do things and have changed how policy is made. An interesting point about the bureaucrats is that at one time in our nation's history, they would react to events, but now they are the source of change. The New Deal was created by outsiders. If you remember, the New Deal created by Franklin Roosevelt to help us out of the Great Depression. Lyndon Johnson's Great Society reforms, which led through to the civil rights movements in the 1960s, were designed by government. Government gets involved in this stuff now. The Senate are big into policy making. Once it used to be a country club that was controlled by the South. Now it's a liberal institution that provokes change. There's a lot of change that happens in the Senate. Lots of change that happens in the Senate. Um, the media, guys, also promotes and stimulates public attitudes. If the media wants something done, they can hound after people enough to make sure that it does get done, whatever it is. Even if a lot of people don't like it, the media has a lot of influence, which is why when we talked about the role of media and we broke everything down, we said there's only five big companies that control most of the media and most of the things that you watch and listen um, and do here in the United States, where we get our information from. This is a big deal because they can stimulate or promote uh, the public attitude and can force change in policy. So when we look at policy, um, one thing that people look at are what are the outcomes? What are the disputes going to be when people are talking about policy? And usually, what they do is they do a cost benefit analysis. And I know we talked about cost benefit analysis yesterday, and I said I would explain it. Well, here I am explaining it. Uh, the costs, guys, are the burden that could be either monetary or non-monetary that someone has to bear due to this policy. Uh, and there's lots of examples you could use, but the example I give you here: will we go to war? Will it raise taxes? Will it discriminate against someone else? We always want large gains when we're talking about the costs of things, but we want very little cost whenever we're talking about public policy. We want lots of good things to happen, and we want no bad things to happen, and we don't want it to cost any money. So people always have to analyze the costs versus the benefits. And when we say benefits, is there any satisfaction, again, either monetary or non-monetary, that someone's going to enjoy? This has to be looked at very, very closely when you are talking about any type of public policy. Um, they, we don't want people, uh, we don't want people creating policy that's got a high cost and very low benefits. And it's so important Now, whenever you're talking about public policy, whenever you're thinking about a policy, and when you're thinking about what policy that you want to do your research on, do a cost benefit analysis. Think about it. What are the costs of it? What's the burden going to be? And is it going to be worth whatever the costs? Are the benefits going to be worth it? Always very, very important to do when you are looking at different types of public policy. Told you we were going to start slow. Told you we weren't going to do too much today with this first video. We're right under 6 minutes on this. So we're going to stop there. The next video you see, we'll talk about social policy. We'll talk about social welfare policy, and we'll talk about healthcare. But that's all we got for now. Remember, if you have any questions, make sure you ask me in class.